everybody, welcome to Wild Boy Movies, the place to talk movies. And today, we're gonna be reviewing Fixed, the first R-rated movie from Sony Pictures Animation. Right now I'm gonna have some information up on screen for you to read, like director, runtime, MPAA rating. All of that will be up on screen for you to read right now. But be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and comment down below your thoughts on Fixed. But without further ado, let's get right into the pros. Alright, starting off, I like the cast in this movie. I thought they did a pretty good job in here. Adam Devine, I thought did a good job as the character of Bull. Idris Elba also did a pretty good job as the character of Rocco. And Kathryn Hahn as well also did a good job. You also got Fred Armisen, who you might remember from being the Deborah from Mitchell's vs. the Machines, another Sony animated movie that went to Netflix. I thought he also did a pretty good job in that role, and the other voice actors as well did a good job in their respective roles that they play in this movie. I also like the dynamic between the four dog friends in this movie, and yeah, I thought they were done pretty well, each of their characters separately and as a group. My favorite would have to be Fetch, this dog who's like a social media influencer, wears like human clothes. Like, I don't know why, but that dog is just my favorite of this entire movie and its cast of characters. But overall, I did enjoy the group dynamic of these four dogs having this last night out before Bull gets neutered in the morning. I also think the story was done pretty well in this movie. While it's very much an adult story, with it being a dog spending his last night out with his friends before getting neutered in the morning, with that already warranting an R rating for this movie, which this film does have, I felt that they told the story in a pretty good way that made it a bit fun to watch. But I do have some problems with that, which I'll get to in the cons. But overall, I thought they told that story pretty well, and I thought they did that love dynamic between Bull and Honey, the Kathryn Hahn character in the movie, pretty well, and I thought they developed that throughout the course of the runtime of the film pretty effectively and well. But lastly, my biggest pro of this movie is the animation in this movie, because not only is this movie Sony Animation's first R-rated movie, it is also one of the few movies where they go ahead and step away from 3D animation. We had a 2010, I believe, movie from Sony Animation where it was that stop motion clay animation from Aardman, the Pirates, and now here in 2025 with Fixed, we have a 2D animated movie. And not only is it good that Sony is changing up their animation from time to time, especially since that last movie, K-Pop Demon Hunters, was a 3D animated movie, and they have a few more up in the release schedule like GOAT and Beyond the Spider-Verse. The 2D animation here differentiates itself from other Sony animated movies, but also it's a 2D animated movie, something we rarely get nowadays. Though this should have gone to theaters like it was initially planned, and it's just good that we get a 2D animated movie released, and hopefully we get more 2D animated movies in the future, because they seem to be very rare nowadays. But yeah, I quite did enjoy this movie, although I do think that people are going to be very harsh on the film, which is why I'm going to categorize this film as a guilty pleasure, one that I do like, but understand some of the criticisms that people are going to have on this movie. But I still do have some cons that I have with this movie that prevent it from being among the best of Sony Animation's lineup of films. So let's go into those cons. Alright, starting off, was it just me, or did anyone else really not like the character of Sterling in this movie? This gray show dog that is in the film that serves as like a love triangle to the Honey character. Now, it might have been that he was like a one-dimensional character, or I don't really know, but to me, this character came off as kind of like a jerk in this movie, like not that likable at all. And I think that was an intentional part for that character in the movie, but that character was just, nah, I don't really like that character at all in the film. But honestly, the biggest issue I have with this movie is the humor. Now, there are some jokes in this movie that I do find funny. Mainly it's dog humor in the movie, like dogs fighting over like this tennis ball, or dogs questioning why they do dog things. Like, that was honestly some good humor in this movie. The humor that really didn't work for me was some of the more sexual humor in this movie. Now, this is an R-rated movie, so you could expect some of that type of humor in this movie, but there are points in here where that type of humor goes a bit too far, and just kind of like, what were even the crew of this movie and Gendy Tartakovsky, the director of this film, even thinking about for this film? Like, some of those moments to me felt a bit too far, and that they went way overboard with some of that type of humor. But it's just really something that I'm not that big of a fan of. It's one of my complaints I had with movies like Deadpool. But another thing I just don't like is that I don't like how adult animation has like this urge to go into that type of content when it comes to adult animation. I feel like that adult animation should lean into the violent side of things as well. And I mean, that's one of the biggest things I can praise with Predator Killer of Killers that came out just a couple of months ago, where it leaned on into the violence, because the Predator franchise has always been rated R for the bloody things that the Predators do. And I want more animated movies or animated TV shows that are geared for adults to lean more into the violent side of things, not all of this adult humor. But like I said earlier, this is a good movie and it is enjoyable, but some of those cons, mainly the humor, is what's holding it back from being among the best of Sony animations, and puts in like a lower tier of those films. And I still enjoyed it, but those cons just hold it back a lot for me. And I thought The Monkey, which I reviewed like 5 days ago, I thought that would end up being my least favorite movie of 2025, but Fixed, as what I'll reveal in my scorecard it just momentarily, now takes the spot as my least favorite film of 2025. It's not entirely bad, but it's just in terms of like ranking, in terms of the scores that I give out to movies, this is just my least favorite of the year of 2025, but I still enjoyed it on like a guilty pleasure level. So for my scorecard, I'm gonna give Fixed 3.5 stars, with the score out of 10 being 7.2 out of 10, with the percentage being 72%, with a grade of C-, with my final verdict being a guilty pleasure from Sony Animation. But that was my review for Fixed. I want to hear from you guys. What are you guys' thoughts on this movie? Go ahead and leave your thoughts down in the comment section. And while you're at it, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. And have a great day.